So, Mario, I've heard that you'll be on Portuguese TV, Channel Third, which is a pretty amazing achievement for a PhD student. I don't think I've ever worked with or heard of a PhD student who's going to be on TV. So tell us a little bit more. How did that happen, and how does a PhD student get on national TV?
Yeah, I can tell you it was a really particular moment for me. Also because everything happened in some seconds. There was this colleague talking, a very, a very hard friend of mine. I feel really strong attached to her, and she was talking with this colleague from SIC TV. I think I mispronunciated it because the Portuguese pronunciation is a little bit different from mine, but it's the third channel of the Portuguese TV. She was talking with the journalist, and she talked so interested in the fact that I was starting this PhD, and I was really, really in deep with the PhD, like going in deep and feeling what I was doing and not just doing some sort of research. And the journalist, asked for my contact. After she contacted me and asked for my something that I wrote, my thesis from the master degree that she saw online, and also my first publication. And so, after she read it, she said, okay, let's do this interview. It will be about metaverse and also and strongly about the social networks. So what at least what I wrote in my master degree thesis, because at the beginning, my master degree thesis was more about the digital platform and the digital territories more than the metaverse, which is the project of my PhD. So she asked all these questions. We did this interview in the university. So it was inside the university environment. I was surrounded by people looking at me because, I had all these lights on me. The conference room was booked for letting me do the interview. I stayed like 3-4 hours. It was a really long interview for this big reportage that they are doing here in Portugal, thanks to SIC TV. And she asked at least about everything that I know, starting from what I achieved with my master's degree thesis and moving then to my PhD project. And she asked a lot because she was so interested, because she told me that the topic of my PhD, it was not just a topic standalone, just a topic for doing some sort of research or for going in deep in some case, but was something that had also, in her opinion and for the reportage, a social impact, So it was really, really amazing.
Maybe, sorry to interrupt, Mario, but maybe it would be interesting if you could now, you've mentioned the metaverse, you've hinted what your topic is about, but can you tell us a little bit more about, what you're working on? Right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And why you are so passionate about it?
I started my master degree thesis, so it was on 2021. I started my master degree thesis talking about the digital platforms as digital territories in the geographical perspective. Also the fact that I wrote you and you answered, it's a really interesting topic, but go into the part of the research, going deep in the topic. Don't just treat the topic as a student research for school. Going in deep in the digital territories and moved by my passion to help children. My aim, my goal is to help children online, to let them be safe in the online environment. After researching about the digital territories, then I understood the difference between digital and virtual. And after I understood that there was a completely new world online, with the advent of the metaverse, then I understood again that there was a difference between all the kind of meta worlds inside the metaverse. And then at that point, it was born my PhD project. And it was also really amazing Also when we started, I think you remember when we started to look at the project with all the corrections, with all the "I can do it." I don't know if you remember that we named the file as "I can do it" because I was sure that I could have done, because it was a project really, really, really as felt as something that is in me, not just some sort of research, as I told you. And mapping, which is the topic of my project, mapping the meta worlds that are related to children, and see how they can be safe inside of that, and inside of it, and also see how the virtual reality, the augmented reality, and also the artificial intelligence has something to do with it. It's cool because you can deepen this topic not from the perspective of engineering or computer science, but from our perspective, the perspective of humanities, the social sciences. In my case, is geography, but it's not just geography. It's geography, policies of safety, privacy, of course, ethnography, anthropology. So it's a project that is really multidisciplinary, and I love the fact that it is in this way, because it's contemporary. It's like more of a contemporary project in which there is a lot of multidisciplinarity, and it's really, 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 really amazing what I started, in my opinion, of course, but it's because it's like having a part of yourself in this PhD. That's why I feel so connected.
I don't think it's just your opinion, because if you're appearing on state Portuguese TV, it's your research must have a lot of merit. It's not just your opinion, I think. But I want to come back to to what you said about that we were naming the PhD proposal files when you were writing them as "I can do it." So I think what a lot of people forget about is like how many times you might need to fail before you actually succeed, right? So we often talk about like these people who succeeded, or like Mario, who's appearing on state TV and everything, but there's actually a lot of hard work and maybe a lot of failures as well before it. So do you remember how many times like you had to rework the document and apply?
Absolutely. I remember it like it was yesterday. In 10 months, thanks to you, of course, I applied 27 times to a PhD program. But every time we improved, every time we knew that it was not my moment, but because I would have designed the project always in the better way than before. It's not like I don't see them, now I don't see them as a failure, because there were some sort of struggles that I had to deep my idea, to structure my idea. A lot of persons think that when you apply for a PhD, it's easy to write the project based on your idea. And it's not true. Because when you try to write a project based on your idea, you have to move from an idea to a scientific kind of sort of research project. And it's not that easy. You have to look at the literature. You have to look at what has already been done. You have to look at the way in which it could fit inside of a field or a university. I applied a lot in 10 months because I knew that I wanted to do this. I knew that every time there was a stop, or every time there was you were not selected, it was because it was not my time, but not because I was not enough. It was because I was not ready at the moment. 10 months is nothing related to an entire life, of course, but also related to the years and years in which persons try to apply for a PhD. So I know that I applied a lot, but not in the biggest amount of time. So I don't want to say for me was the most difficult thing that a person can handle in his life. Absolutely not. It was difficult for me. It was not the best period for me, but having a team of people that could help me, and not only the professor of the thesis or the probable professor that could be the advisor or the supervisor for your PhD. Not having just that, but also having a team that helped me, like correcting me. And a lot of corrections were done during each file that I sent you. Why? Because I was not ready. I was too young, maybe in that moment, to deal with all the stuff for a PhD project. Also, I came from international relations, political science, and I wanted to move into the metaverse, into a kind of topic that it's related, but it's not, when you talk about metaverse, you need to talk about a lot of related fields, and international relations is not sometimes one of the related fields. It's just a small part. So I needed to improve myself a lot, to look at a lot of new kind of things, new kind of tools, and also to start to write in a effective, efficient, in a decent way. Because when you want to apply for a PhD, sometimes you don't think about it, but you don't think about this, but still you need to write in a proper way, and it's not that easy. I also make this example to all the other students when sometimes the students from the master degree or the bachelor degree that we know each other, they contact me, how did you do this, how could you, and I always say there is a difference between a furthermore, or in addition, hence, however, and all the simplest version that we use, like so, or to, or all the other stuff that I have not in my mind now. But in that period, I also needed to study this kind of things, because when you apply for a PhD, you need to be as formal and as effective in the words that you want to use and in the sentence that you want to write, that are not, like 90% of the time, are not the ones that you have in your mind, because the type of sentences that you want to write are based on your language that is not English. But you want it to be English. Like moving from Italian to English, it's not like you go on the translator, you translate it and that's all. Absolutely not, because the structure of the sentence in Italian and the structure of the sentence in English is completely different. And if I write in a way that it's an English Italian, at least a lot of them couldn't understand what I really wanted to mean. Also now with Khalil, I have this kind of things in which she corrects me and she says, in this moment, the sentences you are moving from the Italian to the English, but you are still applying a sort of Italianization of the English. And at that period, it was with you, and you told me a lot of time, pay attention to these words, and it worked. It worked the first time for my master degree thesis, because my master degree thesis was completely in English. It was my first approach with writing something really important in English. It worked for the first publication that I did when I was just graduated from the master degree. So it was important to have that publication, of course, but without having this kind of skills, I was not a PhD student. So how could I publish an article without being a PhD student in that period in which nobody answered me? You know what I mean? So in that moment, having this tool to write in a proper way, in an academical way, in an academical English way, was really, really like necessary for moving step to step. In this period, of course, we say we can use artificial intelligence tools. Absolutely, that's true. I'm not saying that it's not true, but still, without there is a difference when you use your brain, the brain of a team that is with you, that helps you writing in the right way, adapted to the choice, and being able to formulate the kind of periods that you want to write on a paper that are adapted to that situation will be always based on our hands or our brain and not on artificial intelligence. And I'm a huge fan of artificial intelligence. I'm a really huge fan. But still, I always say to the students, I repeat myself, I always say it's different when you have a team of people helping you write in the most effective way. So yeah, it was really, it was an amazing journey until now. For now, and then we will see.
Yeah, well, the journey, of course, continues. But I think what's one of the most, amazing things about what you've done, I think is perhaps, for me at least, from my perspective, seeing you kind of grow and develop since your master's thesis, it's not just, what you've achieved, because I think that's amazing. But I really think it's just that persistence, that you haven't given up. Because, I mean, to apply more than 20 times and fail and still succeed at the end, I think that's really the success here. So, I mean, what is the key ingredient here? Because I think there are probably a lot of PhD students who are struggling in different ways, right? With their writing, maybe they're sending papers for publications, the papers get rejected, they apply for conferences, they get rejected, the supervisor gives them terrible feedback, and maybe they're like kind of on the brink of like, I can't do it, I'm failing, I'm going to quit. So what has helped you to kind of to continue and just not see it as a failure, but each of those failures was a learning lessons, and you just continue? What has helped you?
There are some keys, there are, it's not just like one. First, I can tell you, as I already told you, having this team that helped me in the formal way applying. So having somebody with you who let you feel that you are part of a team of people that believes in you, and it's cool. Having persons that love you, like boyfriends, girlfriends, parents, family, they're like, don't worry, go on, don't stop yourself, you are enough. It's a lot helpful. What I told you now, these two elements are really important. For me, in my opinion, the most important one is being able to accept yourself for what happened. To be honest, also cry when there is the need to cry, because other people cannot understand yourself. Also, your loved ones, they are not in your brain, they are not in your heart. When you fail with this kind of applications, they will understand that you are feeling hurt, that you are feeling sad, tired. Okay, but they cannot understand in deep what you are feeling, because when you want to do a PhD or when you want to do something like that, there are feelings inside of you that are inside of you, because you are feeling that you want to do this to have an impact, to achieve something that can be shared, to being somebody in that field. I wanted to apply for the PhD in that period of time. I applied 26 times because I wanted to help children online. I wanted to be somebody in that field in order to have the influence to do something, not just because I was telling myself, okay, I need a job, or I want to do a job in the research field. Absolutely not. Or because I wanted to move to a new country to see a new environment. Absolutely not. I wanted to do this because I had my reason. The reason inside of me was to help children and discover, of course, new things, because I wanted to For me, it was more like there is this metaverse. Everybody's so confused about the metaverse. There is this huge gap in the literature about the metaverse. I encourage a lot of people to do research about the metaverse. And I was like, I need to find and define, because sometimes you have to define from the beginning what is the metaverse, because there is this huge confusion, I told you. So it was like, the reason it's because I want to discover, I want to be like, the huge people from the past that discovered a lot of things. I'm just using simple terms because I wanted to be honest about it. I wanted to discover, and I wanted to find a way after my discoverings to be able to create and share with my knowledge something that could really help all the children around the world. I knew that there are a lot of organizations like UNICEF, Terdom, that help children in other fields. You have to understand that the metaverse is completely another world, is a virtual universe, to be precise. The metaverse is a virtual universe. So when they go in the metaverse, they are living another life. So we need to start from the beginning. Like an example, sometimes we don't know what is metaverse related to children. Like Roblox is part of the metaverse. Fortnite is a meta world, and Fortnite is a video game that is it's called a video game. Fortnite, it's not just a video game. Fortnite is a meta world, part of the metaverse, in which your child can live completely another life. The same is for Roblox and starting from Second Life. So I was moved by this. I was like, I need to do it. Nobody's doing it. I will do it. I failed 26 times, 27 times. Now, in this moment, I don't know why I don't remember the precise number, but 26, 27. It was like every time it was like having something that, like a knife, because when you feel so attached to this thing, when you feel it, then every failure, it's like a knife in your body. I cried. I cried because I need it. But after every cry, I was like, no, let's move on. I was like, Utrecht University rejected my project. A lot of respect for the Utrecht University. I apply for the Leiden one. Leiden rejected me. I apply for Copenhagen one. With all due respect to all the universities, I will see them one day being a researcher. But my PhD was not there. Okay, let's move on. Continue. And then in a matter of 2-3 months, it happened that I started my PhD at the University of Lisbon. But, I need to tell you this. How it started? It started because I decided to change my country. From Italy, I moved here, Portugal, in Lisbon, for a job that was not so related to my research field. A job that you needed just a high school diploma for this job. So you can think like as a person, as a third person, you could think, after a master degree, he's doing now a job just for a high school that is in which is needed just a high school diploma, and it's just an easy job to have some money. Yeah, why I did this? Because I was like, I will move to that country. Thanks to this job, I can pay my rent. You know what I mean? I can pay my rent. After this, I can, with my feet, I can work to the university, see persons and professors face to face, and ask if they want to do the project with me. I did this. I talked with 2-3 professors. Then I found my Italian supervisor. It's Professor Tlumello. He's Italian and he works here in University of Lisbon. He, after he saw my project, he said, I think you are too shy. Let's move to a project that can be stronger. And I was like, what do you mean? And he suggested me a lot. And he was the one that was like, let's move to the metaverse. Don't be shy about the metaverse. And I was like, okay, let's start this. And then he suggested me another professor from the University of Lisbon, my actual Portuguese supervisor, Professor Morgado. And then it started my PhD because they were so excited about my project. They were like, this project is amazing, let's begin with it. But in the meantime, I was not alone writing my projects, writing my stuff, because I also, in that period, it was still you and not already Kalila. I said, if I remember, I sent you all the version of the I Can Do It. It was, I moved like to I Can Do version 10, something like that, writing to you about this. But it was, I understood that it was not because I was not enough in the previous 9 version of the file. I understood that in the first there was missing something, in the second something, and then the 10th version was the perfect one, and I got accepted to the University of Lisbon in the Department of Geography. And it's the first project that they have in the Department of Geography about the metaverse. As far as I know, it's the first project about the metaverse, the first project in which the environment and the geography considered is the one of the virtual reality, and not just the surrounding. Because of course, if you talk about Department of Geography, you talk about urbanism. And a lot of other environmental fields, this kind of thing. So they also looked at me like, your project, also the other professors, not my supervisor, like the president of the department. He had some classes with us. He talking about my project, say, I found your project so interesting. I don't know in the specific what is your project. I don't know in the specific about the metaverse, but because I came from another generation, he told me, I came from another generation, but I want to know more. So they were so interested, also the other professors. And it was so cool because at least, you feel like after all the stuff that you had in your life, because of course, every people that will see us and will hear me know that these are just the stuff related to my applications. But in the life of every day, I had a lot to manage as everybody else doing the PhD and the PhD application. So it was really like feeling that after everything, you have moved to the big step. After all the tiny steps that you have done, you move to the big step, starting a PhD. And of course, when you start a PhD, you see that you are at the beginning, but it was the first step and the big one. And I felt so, it was like this wow sensation that I can't give it a word. The moment in which I got accepted. It was so...
Yeah, that's amazing. And what you say about progress, I think it's something that I talk about on the program PhD Accelerator as well, that like sometimes, you work very, very hard and you see no progress, that like you just go like this and then you cross some sort of tipping point and then you start making really fast progress. And it sounds like, this is what really happened to you. So it's very, very motivating as well. And, hopefully those people who will be listening to us, if you're struggling, I think you should probably look at Mario's experience. And also I think other people who have succeeded, it's easy to forget how much hard work and failure is behind, every paper published in Nature or a great journal. It wasn't done in the first draft. They probably had I Will Succeed draft number 10 before they actually published it in that really good journal.
Oh, it's also when we talk about the tiny step, you can feel sometimes before and after I got accepted to the PhD. So I'm talking about all the journey. With the tiny step, you can feel like you are not doing anything. You are like just staying stable, but nothing is happening more. Like you are at level 32, you cannot move to the level 33 because you are reaching every time just this tiny small percentage that you, at least it's like you cannot feel that you reached this percentage of level more, but at the end everything together makes you the experience to move to the next level. And in that moment you don't realize, when you reach this tiny little step, it's like you don't even realize what are you doing. After you realize what were the steps for moving to that level, and then you realize that you were doing things, you were working hard, you just didn't feel like, because you had in your brain like, the others are doing better, the others started before me, the others published, I didn't publish. The others are publishing 3 articles, I'm publishing 1, or just a review, or I'm for now nothing. Then you realize that it's not like that, because it's not what the environment is doing, but it's about what you are doing. It's about the fact that you can choose also to not publish in the first months or in the first year and of your PhD, and nobody can judge you. Why? Because you are studying, you are researching, you are trying to be part of the environment. That's something that I always suggest. Be part of every environment in which you are in the research, because at least you are using all the tools that are about you, and not just being alone in your working. It's like more try to reach all the persons to see how they can help you, how can they stay with you, and how can they correct sometimes the behavior that were not so truly you. You were not like showing completely yourself. It's because, sometimes you feel like the PhD is this formal journey, this just extremely academical, formal way to reach the title of doctorate. It's not like that. It's having all together and feeling like having a second place to live in, like a new home, your department, and also the, like in our case, the online environment. Also, like in the platform that we use with you, it's not just participate to the call, because if you don't have time, you don't have time. But it's also see what the other wrote, what the other published, commenting, sharing your, I say emotions, but you know what I mean, sharing yourself on the platform related in your journey to the PhD. Also, sometimes it's cool to look back also at the video that you shared, and look at them and see, oh, I started from this video, now I understood in deep what I need to do. Like when at the beginning it was so difficult to use all the platforms that you suggested us with, about the reviews, about the literature research, about the referencing, which is a really important thing during the PhD journey. And it was like, okay, let's use this, let's use that. And it was so confusing. And there were that video that was like, okay, I will watch this video other 3 times to understand better what I will do. And, this helps you a lot. It helps you a lot because it makes you understand that you're not alone.
Absolutely. And I think what you said about not comparing yourself to others, it's a very difficult thing to do, especially in our digital world where, you're constantly bombarded by messages of these, unrealistically successful people, with unrealistically huge mansions on Instagram and stuff like this. So it's really difficult, but it is very important, to remember that it's like it's your journey. But just to end, Mario, as well, what would you say to those, PhD students who are, let's say, struggling? Like, what would be your final kind of advice to them?
Don't think of yourself like a standalone person that must be alone in his academical life, think that there are people that can help you, people that knows more than you. Be humble in a way in which it can help you understand that there are people that knows more and can help you, but at the same time be confident in yourself about what can you do, and don't underestimate neither the others but not yourself. First, don't underestimate your feelings, your emotions, and your devotion to related to the PhD. Also consider emotions, feelings, devotion, the reason why you are doing the PhD. And this is really important, because if you understand that the reason and your feelings toward the PhD project and what you're trying to achieve, at that point you can understand that you can need more from yourself and also more from other people. You can need guardians. I use this word, guardians, that can help you other than just supervisors. Also because, sometimes the supervisor cannot be as present as they maybe wanted or not wanted to be. So just don't close yourself and don't underestimate yourself. Absolutely this.
Now, if you've enjoyed this video, but you want personalized help to be able to write and publish research papers in top Scopus-Indexed journals in your discipline, then book a free one-to-one consultation. The link is right below this video. One of my staff members is going to get on a one-to-one call with you, and we're going to discuss really, what your biggest challenges are, what your goals are, to really develop a personalized plan for you and see how we can help you to publish research papers in those Q1 Scopus-Indexed journals. So book that free one-to-one consult. The link is right below.